Hello, and welcome to Wrestling with Poetry, Kalamazoo, Michigan's premier poetry and wrestling podcast. Today, we will hear from the poet Elle Longpre, and we'll talk about firsts in wrestling. So let's start off strong and hear from Elle Longpre. Elle Longpre is the author of How to Keep You Alive, as well as 5 chapbooks from Belladonna, Les Écrits 9, The Loon, Ost, and Monkey Puzzle. Their work has been anthologized, translated into French, and has appeared in Reginald, Jubilat, La Vague, Blushlit, Deluge, The Volta, Eliminai, Manifold Criticism, and other publications. She has taught creative writing classes at the University of Denver, Naropa Summer Writing Program, Putney School Summer Arts Program, the Lighthouse Writers Workshop, and the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics. They earned their PhD in creative writing at the University of Denver and can be found in the woods.
Dry season. Pollen. If you can't reconstruct desire on a cellular level, make it a temporal event, like a song. Would you blame me if I were in my post-human phase, a promiscuous plant, hedonic and phototropic? I show off for the sun, but I'm not going anywhere. You can't just give it a name, this orientation. Pollen. You can't bioengineer trauma, only its guarantee. A hybrid, being a creature, will eventually experience the nausea of disorder, in spite of its being a new thing. The blight is registered in their body. If every seed is a promise, it's also a very long story. Pollen. Thinking about Christ's suicide, what's abnormal about structures? In Schrodinger's phrase, living creatures drink orderliness from their environments. The tree is a thirst trap for the hunger of my disorders, my disorderly organelles. What is their function, aside from desire? Can they drink in the shape of this forest? Can they think in an elaboration of filtered light? Pollen. A tree is sessile but phototropic. A tree is planted but moves toward the direction of the sun. A tree is a record of movement toward light. Its shape demonstrates time to us. A tree, like language, is convenient and fertile. A tree grows into its own autograph. Pollen. Replication is at first a creation of a dialectical opposite. Replication is first its opposite. 0 is a fulcrum. Go across the 1-minute river 6 times will take 6 minutes, but if you cross it 0 times, it will take 0 minutes. There are 0 instances of me getting on that plane. An instance is a time, but an instance isn't time. Reminding myself there is no time, so I am with you now. If 6 children and 6 apples, each gets 1, but if there are 6 apples and no children, then no children have nothing to eat. I take each integer for granted, like they all arrive together in a neat little row, forgetting each number has its own history. They all arrived on their own time, begrudgingly, that once 3 was wild. Did I wait long enough to love you? I will love you even when you see the fraud in me. Pollen. I drink in a lace sewn together by its openness, unnoted, the supple bud of my thumb. I prepare lace I never demonstrate, sewn together by its openness. I prepare a lace I never demonstrate, unnoted, sewn together by its openness. I poke through the supple bud of my thumb, making its mouth a gleam. I blindfold the horse. I prepare a lace I never demonstrate. The silky hairs of the moon, unknowed, contract on being touched.
Thank you, Ella. Beautiful work. That was the first time that I've thought certain things, which leads me to the topic of firsts. Professional wrestling first, of which I will mention 7. The chair. When was the first time someone used a folding chair in a wrestling match as a weapon? And what else was happening in the world when this was going on? I acknowledge that the first person to do anything is someone else who lives a secret life. But in showbiz, we deal with characters and their antics. So with that in mind, number 1, first wrestler to become famous for using a chair in the ring is Wild Bull Curry. He was a reviled heel wrestler, very wild. He is also considered the first wrestler to use a steel chair as a weapon during a match. Where did this happen? Detroit, Michigan. When did this happen? In the 1940s. I have seen a match with Wild Bull from 1942 on YouTube on John Boucher's channel. The match I saw where he used a steel chair was against Johnny Valentine, and that was 1969. Wild Bull flings a steel chair at Johnny after they chase each other outside the ring. Johnny Valentine was bloodied by the end. And, they say that Hulk Hogan was the first guy doing blading. It does kind of look like Johnny Valentine bladed himself. But you tell me. The match is on YouTube on John Boucher's channel, and it's the 1969 match. You could say, let's just say, Wild Bull, first man who invented the steel chair move. If anyone out there knows different, write us at wrestlingwithpoetry@gmail.com. I suspect for as long as there has been pro wrestling, people have been throwing chairs or rocks or whatever they've been sitting on into the ring. But anyhow, what else was invented in the 40s? I'll give you 7 things. There was Velcro, the Slinky, the microwave, the Frisbee, the Z3, as well as 2 other computers, the transistor, and Tupperware. Life in the 40s was just starting to get fast and convenient. So now let's take a step backwards. When was the first steel cage match? They put this online as 1937. This occurred June 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. The match was between Count Rossi and Jake Bloomfield. Ted, in a minute. The cage was made of chicken wire. Well, Georgia. Anyway, what else was happening in 1937? Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan disappeared over the Pacific Ocean, and, though not the same day, in 1937 is when the Hindenburg blimp exploded. Let's take a step up. First ladder match. A ladder match is when an item, like a title belt or a wrestling contract within a briefcase, is hung from the ceiling, and there's a ladder in the ring where the wrestler is supposed to effectively climb the ladder to retrieve the item that makes them win. In the course of this skirmish, the ladder is often used as a weapon. Stampede Wrestling held the first ever ladder match between Dan Crofat and Tor Kamada. The object to be grabbed was a wad of money. Dan Crofat wrestled under the name King Crow. Dan is considered the guy who invented the ladder match. The year was 1972. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was born that year, and J. Edgar Hoover died. Did the scales balance? I don't know, Rock. Are you still a Republican? 1972 was also the longest year by 2 seconds within the context of Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, because 2 leap seconds were added during the 366-day year, an event which has not been repeated since. That is according to the 1972 Wikipedia page. According to the Sportster, 1995 was the year the table got involved in wrestling. This is where Bret Hart got knocked into a table by Diesel. Since then, tables have become their own type of match, where the goal of the match is to offensively plow a wrestler through a table. These are called the TLC matches. Kind of ironic. Tender loving care, but no, it's tables, ladders, chairs matches. They are prominent. To this day, still happening. And now I've taught you the TLCs. I will end with 3 more important moments. First wrestler to set himself on fire, that was Kane in 1998. First black wrestler to win the WCW championship, this was 1992. The wrestler, Ron Simmons. Mildred Burke was the first women's world champion, I thought, but no, probably the Fabulous Moolah. And if you're only going by the history of the WWE, you would say it was Charlotte Flair. For most people, it's going to be the Fabulous Moolah, because money usually wins in the end. So, sources that I used for this were Jesse Singer, who writes for the Sportster. They do Sportster.com, wrestling, top 15 most incredible wrestling firsts. And I also used the Wikipedia 1972. Also Wikipedia tables, ladders, and chair matches. Whew, that was a lot. We don't have any questions this week. Do you have a question? You can ask us. We will surely put it on the air. All you have to do is email wrestlingwithpoetry, WRESTLINGWITHPOETRY at gmail.com. Ask us anything. Events this week. Poetry. Satellite Records will hold their weekly open mic. Thursday, September 28th at 5:30 p.m. until around 6:30 p.m., so please don't be late. This is a great event. I've personally been there, and I can attest. It's a very welcoming environment for newcomers, or old poets alike will find sympathy there. Satellite Records is located at 808 South West Nedge Avenue in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They are open every day of the week, but the hours vary. Wrestling events. Sunday, October 8th, Independence Pro Wrestling's Homecoming event. This will take place at Ruggers Up and Under, that is 711 West Michigan Avenue in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The doors open at 5 p.m. The match begins at 6 p.m. That's Sunday, October 8th. And I hope you have a week full of good times with good friends.